Wouldn't it be great to be gifted? In fact, it turns out that choices lead to habits. Habits become talents. Talents are labeled gifts. You're not born this way. You get this way. Seth Godin. My friends, that's what it takes. It takes you making habits and you learning these charts. And we ask you to take those habits, turn them into talents, turn those talents into gifts. 10 to 15 minutes each and every day is all we ask. Now, I've gotten some interesting questions. Why don't we make every trade when things go up or down? And of course, we can look at what's going on with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 right now. We had this interim pullover on the S&P as it ended 2 weeks ago. And then, of course, after the Trump election, and we saw this crazy, I'm now going down to the bottom of the screen to the half-day chart on Wednesday morning after Trump won the night before. And we saw where the market, just with this crazy exuberance, went up all the way through Monday morning. And then since then, it's been languishing. And you might say, well, we saw things go up. We saw a little interim low. We talked about it. We talked about the green spinning top. We said, this is not a perfect setup. This is not the kind of setup that we like where things go up and then they rotate over and go down. That is, we have an interim high after several weeks of up movement. And then we see a red spinning top when things start to roll over with above average or average volume. And then they go down. And then we see things rotate back over. Now, as we look at what typically works, that is interim high or an interim low, we look for volume to back up the top or the bottom, and then a rotation over with a red spinning top to go down with higher than average or average volume, or the opposite, a green spinning top to turn around and go up. And then we ride that. Now, when we don't see that happen, when we have sort of a hybrid of that like we had here, we said, hey, we got a green spinning top. It's possible to try to jump in. And that trade is struggling to continue to move up. I mean, we see where it is. And of course, you can pull the trigger on those ifs. If we look at Bitcoin, we didn't have any kind of trigger to allow us to pull any of this. We did not have an interim low with average volume and a spinning top turnover with average volume. We just didn't have it. It got close, but again, that really wasn't even hardly an interim. In fact, it wasn't an interim low. The interim low was here. The interim low was actually back here, but then it was all over the place. Bitcoin is harder to read than some other things. So people say, well, why in the world didn't we catch this crazy up move? Because, my friends, who knew Trump was going to win? And when Trump did win, look at how the market actually took off crazy-wise. Could you have jumped in here on the half day? Yeah. Did anybody know that it was, well, everybody who guessed, and again, that's called gambling. We don't gamble. We ride the things when we see things set up. And I'm going to get to the two things that did set up in just a minute. Let's look at the cues. Where are the cues? Well, the S&P was up today a little bit, 0.05%. And as I told you, we may very well see things after this digestion that we have going on right here. Look at all the volume that we have had. Lots of volume in the afternoon Tuesday, lots of volume in the afternoon Wednesday. We may very well see things after the Trump bump. We may see it digest and hammer back up. Not a problem if you wanted to pull the trigger on that trade and you set your appropriate profit and loss bands. And you do that, of course, by using the ATR on the 2-day chart. One time that for the profit band, one time that for the loss band. When you hit the profit band, you sell half the trade, you let the rest of it ride. That's just the way we do it. And it works for us over and over and over again when we have the right patterns with the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks and when we have the right volume. And we ask you to practice that to prove it to yourself. So that's what's up with the S&P. The NASDAQ 100 down a little bit for the day. Again, it's struggling too. Very similar pattern to the S&P, the Trump bump, and then things are just sort of hanging out, waiting to see, are they going to take off again? We're in the fall-winter trading zone. They may very well do that. If you pulled the trigger on either one of these trades and you are waiting for that to happen, that's okay. Not going to fault you, particularly with the S&P. With the NASDAQ, we didn't even have an interim low. We had a green doji followed by a green spinning top. Again, an exuberance after the Trump election that may not stay. So we will continue to watch those trades, but those weren't the trades that we called for you. The trade that we called for you many weeks ago, that was down again today, 0.95%, was, of course, where we saw things cross over, transition, and move down. And of course, we jumped into this. Whichever week you jumped into, the first week or the second week, we had average volume with that interim high. And then we had things rotate over. That first week, we did not get the confirming volume. We did on the second week with a red spinning top. And of course, things continued to plummet. We've already sold the first half of that trade. We've let the rest of it ride. What about gold? And still are. What about gold? Well, we saw the gold was the best setup that we've had lately. We had an interim high after several weeks of up movement. Then we had the interim high, nice green candle, no wick on the bottom. Don't get fooled by the dashes here. And then the red spinning top with higher than average volume. We only need average volume, it's a little bit higher. Followed by this drop down again, 1.01% as we ride gold down. Those are the two trades that we saw set up better than these other two trades. And again, we love the perfect setups. I like to pull the trigger on trades that I can see, that I can justify, that I've made before, that work time and time and time again. How do you learn that? How do you master that? You master that by practice trading, by being in the market every day, by finding your favorite stocks that you follow, by listening to us, by learning the techniques, and by practice trading them and proving to yourself that they work. And then you can also add in all the other knowledge you get from everywhere else, the books you read, trainings you take, training videos you go through, your own experience, all the things that you put into it, because trading is a personalized thing. There is no straight up hardcore formula that you have got to follow. We all have the kind of stocks, the kind of ETFs that we like to trade, whether we like going long more than going short more than going long. We like to trade options. We like to do inverse funds, whatever it is. You need to see what you have the talent for. That's what we encourage you to do. So gold down again today. Let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, that crazy exuberance that we saw started with the next morning after Trump's election, then carried along until the end of the week. And then, of course, on Monday, whoa, look out. Up Monday, up Tuesday, up in the morning on Wednesday, and then slowing down Wednesday afternoon, now just up 0.07%. But look at this crazy high candle. We look at 24-hour a day Bitcoin up to a high, oh my gosh, of 93,483. Is that not crazy? Just crazy. Of course, we look at that high the prior week, 81,000. The week before that, 73,000. And I think that's where we hit that prior high. Yes, going all the way back to March 11. And then, of course, when we watched Bitcoin, we saw it again. It popped up, here it is, on the 2-day chart, and then pulled back a little bit. And then, man, on November 6th, it took off like blasting out of a rocket ship. And that is beautiful to see. That is where we are, folks, as we end the day. Just keep up the work. Keep up the training. You can do this day in, day out. Enjoy it. Enjoy learning. Enjoy practice trading. Enjoy studying this. And don't overdo it. It's all about pacing. It's all about timing. It's all about your habits that lead to talents, talents that lead to gifts. You were not born this way. You get this way, quoting Seth Godin. God bless, my friends. All the best from everybody here at chartingwealth.com.